Hey everyone, I just figured I'd share what my next trade idea is going to be. Well, it's not really my next trade idea, it's one that I already commented on previously. Back on the 26th, on September 26th, I was commenting that I like Target, but I didn't get around to charting it. So this is going to be me charting and explaining why I'm at least short-term bullish going into the holidays with them. But before I get into that, I figured I'd talk about the super trend I've been using a little bit. And the main reason why is a little bit of explanation, kind of, maybe. Um, Obviously, I have certain settings I've been using right now, which are these, and I call these the short term variant or the faster moving one. To explain why, I'm going to bring it out to the year to date, and I'm going to erase this. Um, I'm going to bring on the other copy of the same script. And if you notice, they'll have very different signals, and one's basically slower than the other because of the values that we have set here. I'm going to turn this off so that you can tell what I'm talking about. Now, the reason I'm using this one right now is because I was using the previous one here, but I sometimes want faster moving signals, right? For example, there's some dip buying opportunities here, another one here that you could have made money off of. That this one simply would have had you buy up here when you broke through, and then maybe at a retest, and once it falls through, obviously you get in the bearish area. But if you notice this other one, it would have bought the dip there, if you're following the theory of the super trend there, at least. I wouldn't do it solely. I wouldn't trade solely on the super trend, but I like to have it for additional confluence. So if you notice over here, you would have been able to get this trade too, because it broke above, so you could take along to the next resistance essentially, see if it broke down. And now that it's broken above both of them, obviously we're in more of a bullish state until now, essentially, at least on the short term one. And the reason I wanted to bring this up is because, I don't tend to browse FinTwit as often as I used to. Um, and the reason why is I believe it adds more noise usually, right? But I've been seeing something pop up, and I don't think I'm going to do it on SPX because I have too many drawings. But let's bring up, I'm going to do it on SPY. Yeah, this will work. So this was a previous drawing of mine. But I've been seeing, why that color, I don't know. Oh, it stands out. Okay, it works. I've been seeing the old usual, you know, and the reason why I bring it up is it's also been on QQQ. I'm not going to draw it out. I don't want to dirty my charts up. I believe I've seen it on Microsoft, which has other lines from back in the day. Apple, same thing. It has lines that we just had for Darkpool and Gex that I shared previously. Did not mean to draw that. But some people are seeing things that I personally myself, I'm like, I don't know. I think you're, some of those patterns will pan out, and I'm a pattern guy, I guess. I'll sometimes look for them, and I'm even going to talk about one in a second here, but I don't put all my faith into solely patterns, right? And the reason for that is because there's only a certain percentage of outcome that pans out, and patterns are like looking for something that could happen is, I guess, the better way for me to explain it. Going back to SPX, the reason I want to bring it out is because I'm going to take these off but turn the super trends back on, because I haven't really ever talked about the super trend, but it actually gave me this trading range here, if you notice, to trade at one point. So when it hit here, and if you notice, look at how close of a shave that was, right? That was like perfect almost. And the reason why is because it's trying to catch the same type of moves as it has in the past based off moving averages in a look back period, right? So for example, here, back in 2008, and then finally, you have this point where obviously everyone goes long down here. The people that usually the bears, right, are the first ones because they'll be buying stuff back or covering. But when you're finally going out, you're breaking back up. Your tendency, your cloud is now turning better, favorable. But then you see this, and you know that if this was the slice through before, it's now kind of like a resistance. Or at least I look at it that way when I'm using my super trend. Come back up, bump into it, finally broke through. A little bit of scary moment here, but because the markets were in a better state, the macro was looking up, and obviously QE and stuff, you get this, right? And if you notice over here on the slice on COVID, right, that was your quote unquote dip buying opportunity. Moving on, the reason I use the faster one is because of where our market is now. It's a little too frothy for me, so I again I showed you on the daily, I wanted more aggressive, I guess you could say, investments sometimes. For example, these right here, because it was around October where I started getting rid of my long holds, preparing for this downtrend. And I mean, I wasn't wrong. I was just I wasn't wrong. I was early. Can't believe I'm saying that, but it's okay to have a little fun. I'm moving on. Let's go to the next trade idea. So we had Apple on Thursday going into Friday. Today I will be talking about Target, and the reason why is back on the 26th I mentioned that I like it for end of year holiday bump. That being said, I picked up like 5 shares. I know, nothing huge. And the reason why is because I want, to see a little bit more stability in the overall macro. I was anticipating the down move, or at least part of it, not as much as we've gotten in the overall macro. Leading into that, I was bearish, so I wasn't trying to be too bullish on, especially retail, right? But I do like them for going into. I don't know if I'd stay into earnings because obviously earnings are, could go both ways. But I did notice a couple things similar to what I noticed in Apple, and this is going to be like, my current bullish pick for the short term here for, like I said, holidays and all that. Reason why I'm picking them is because I've actually played them before. It's been favorable in the past. Um, I'm going to hide this for a reason. Whoop, did not mean to do that. Actually, I'll do it here. Don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to hide these because that's my 5 shares filled on the 26th, right? But I wanted to highlight, again, going into the pattern thing, we had an inside day here. So far it's panning out, right? Inside days, this day, the next day, it's a 2-bar pattern, right? And the next day was within this day, but it had a higher low and a lower high. That's basically all it is. So you have this move. Now, the reason I like looking for inside days sometimes is because they either show continuation or a reversal, depending on a couple things, like if your trend's already bearish or bullish. I personally think that in this one it's going to be a continuation because we technically had the reversal a little bit before that. I also like the fact that this is the low point on a chart, at least for me. And I'm going to take a moment to turn the super trend on. And I want you to see something if I go out. Here we go. So if you notice on the monthly super trend that it's kind of defended for a while now on the short variant version. If you notice, it actually defended it really well. Again on the monthly, right? Got really low, but shoved back in to the trend. Now, that's a big defense for me. Like that's a pretty big defense, especially when I combine this with other data we're going to be looking at in a second here. But I'm going to probably be adding more tomorrow. I haven't taken an options contract. Here's the inside day on a closer view, right? But the thing is, I'm probably going to be taking an options contract if I see it pop up in the flow room again. There was one that actually popped up, which I'm going to flip over to that now. Give me one moment. There's one that popped up here on the 27th, and I'm a dummy because I'm over here wanting it, wanting target. I did not get into that. It didn't have the flow I normally look for, right? It only had 5 orders and 200K in premiums. The strike's a 120, which I don't know. That's a little up there for me. I mean, I don't know. It's getting back up to where this drop off happened. I might whoops. I might take it up on that. I might buy the flow. I want to see how this week's turning, and we'll see what's going on. But I want to look at other stuff that's also interesting. So if you guys remember back to, let me do Apple because that's the one I shared the night before. And the reason I was bearish on Apple specifically was this, the dark pool sentiment, and everyone was trying to get out. It felt like you got insiders that just sold too. So it seems like everyone was rushing for the door. Meanwhile, on Target, which I have pulled up now, if you notice, the block trade sentiment and the dark pool sentiment is bullish, at least to me. This is, large orders of, a million or better usually at ask. Now, here's always the difficult part of getting into, hey, well, how far can this go kind of deal. And I actually do want to get into that by also pulling up. So on the daily chart, I'm going to use let me clear this. I'm going to use the algorithmically chosen support resist levels, and we're going to start throwing things on the chart. So my support resist, according to, algorithmically generated, is 108.99. So let's go ahead and put this down. Give me 1 second. Let me turn. So that's my fill, right? My fill's over here. We're going to change this. Whoops. Did I do the wrong one? Yeah, no, that's the right one. There we go. We're going to change this to green, make it a solid line. So that's our support, allegedly, right? So now we're above the support, right? So looking on to the next data points, our next resist would be 130.60, right? That's pretty high for me. I actually, again, I'm not trying to get way out there. It says 120 on the strike for trade flow, it might be, that's farther than earnings, I think. It's for 11/17, right? So 2 days after the earnings. Regardless, we're not here to talk about earnings. We're just trying to get a little bit up here. Moving on, here's some other charts I have. But seasonality and the financial seems to be at least holding for now. It's improving a little bit. Analyst ratings on the 11th was moved to buy, right? I do want to clear this and move to the daily chart to bring up event anchored VWAPs, right? I like looking into these. And if you notice, I don't know if you can tell down here, this little green line is now our anchored VWAP support, right? So currently it's at 108.20. So things seem to be looking at least to me, a little bit more bullish. It seems like going any lower than this would be very um, indicative of something very wrong, I feel, which I don't think is the case. You know, going lower than the monthly super trend. I think it's going to be difficult to break that down, at least right now where we're at. So, what targets am I looking for, right? In this case, I'm going to always fall back on the safety of the dark pools and the GEX levels. I'm always going to look into those. Those always seem to interest me because if someone's selling at a certain price, I want to know, well, they obviously move more money than I do, so let's find out why. So if you notice, there's a lot of dark pool levels that we're currently in. But going back to the dark pool chart, it seems to be mostly buying right now, right? There's a couple sales here and there, 109.63, but now you're buying higher at 110, 111, 112, right? Maybe they're looking at a different outcome now that we've gotten a few things behind us. So it looks like we're right poised at that dark pool level of 112. There's another one above here. Again, it's a little higher, 112.30. But if we look beyond that, it seems like it's pretty clear for now. And I think I'd have to go very far back in order to find any transactions higher. But currently, if you notice, it seems like that's a go to at least get out of this range, as long as the price action is favorable. So I myself, right now where I'm at, am looking for at least a target of around 116, right? Right around here. But this is again, as long as price action continues, which I hopefully think it will, I'm going to rely back on options for short-term moves. Currently it's bearish, but it's only 61K bearish, which, to be frank with you, that's not a lot of money for me. It's also not bullish, like very bullish, also on a lot of money either. So right now it seems like the options could go either way. Here's the net flow for the last, calls went up, then put went down, and the puts were rising, calls went back up. It seems like it's trying to fend off the low price that I was saying. It's ridiculously low. So I do believe, again, that we can get a little bit of positive price move as long as buyers show up. The thing I did want to talk about is, again, there's not a lot of money against it, but there's not a lot of money for it either. The biggest expiry strike is a 105 strike for 119.2024, and that's a quarter mil, right? So it's got more weight than the put side, right? The one last thing I wanted to point out is this is algorithmically generated, if I recall as well. Basically, whenever the yellow line drops out of the red, super bearish, and then you can trade within like a range of it. Currently, it's about to break up into and above the red, which would mean we, once we get above it and hold it, then obviously the price action would improve. So all in all, I'm bullish, at least for the short term, on target. I'm looking to see 116. 116 to me would be roughly the playing out of that inside day. Most of the time, I wouldn't really, again, put this much confidence in a signal or a pattern in this case. But I think, again, this is really low point in target price, and I don't really know if it'll get much lower. So to me, it's indicative that so far their buyers are showing up. Again, my target price one last time is around 116. That would be the play out of the inside day. Depending, I'm going to come back to this and analyze it again if price action obviously goes that way. And I will be looking to see what the data says closer to that price and see if buyers are still interested or if sellers are starting to take over. And like I said, the one last thing I wanted to bring out, let me see if I can find it. Not this one. Let's see here. Let me reset this chart for us. There we go. So if we look at the largest sweeps, if you notice so far, buyers are interested. You know, there's buyers and sellers showing up, but it seems like a lot of buyers are defending this area down here, especially that $250,000 at 105. So again, that to me gives me a good strong idea that 105 would be the ultimate support, right? But that's basically saying, okay, the lowest point on the chart is as well. But it seems like it's pretty solid to me. I don't think someone throwing that money in there would easily get spooked, right? I do not see any supplier demand zones immediately below or above us that are on a larger scale that usually interests me. So this is going to be basically how the chart, like I said, stays for me. So right now, because I'm already in and I'm going to be buying more tomorrow, I'm going to be treating the 108.99 as my short-term support. I hope this helps out, explains my thesis on why I'm currently bullish going into this holiday season, at least with Target. Have a great one, everyone. One final part of my note that I forgot to share about the Target thesis is based off the smart money concepts. We're technically at the discount area right now on the daily, right? And obviously the premium is way up here, but I'm looking more so, again, where we were targeting is way lower for now. Before the first break of structure that we're going to encounter on the way up, right? So definitely interesting to me. And I figured I'd also share, this is SPY trend line that I'm watching currently. On the weekly. So currently it's being defended. You had a touchdown here and a touchdown here. We'll see how this week goes with the earnings and everything. But again, mostly wanted to come back to share the Target daily one last time with the smart money concepts, right? Seems like we're at discount. So again, have a good one.